How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another Call to Battle video. Today we're going to be opening up one of the two Call to Battle 2.0 starter decks, and this is Nature's Decay. So these are the updated starter decks with the updated cards, and so a while back, I went through and I revamped the game, changing how it was played, and at the time that this video goes up, the how to play video will already be up, and so I can link it in the description, and then in probably like a week or two, I'll upload an opening of the second starter deck, which I actually have right here, which is Burning Shadows, and so this one's pretty cool as well. But the first starter deck we have is Nature's Decay, and it is a base set starter deck. It is Nature and Poison, and so at the top and the bottom we have the elements that are in this starter deck. And so on the back, again, we have the elements, and it says deck includes 4 rare cards and 32 common cards, so 36 in total. And it says, with Nature's Sting at your fingertips, wither away those who dare to stand against you. So that is what the box looks like, and so we're going to go ahead and open these up. And this is my first time seeing these cards as well, so I'm pretty excited to see what they look like in person. I can already tell that they look fairly good. So these are the newly designed backs. And so I did away with that horrendous, overly large border that used to be on the cards that everyone would ask me about, and I was like, this is what the TheGamecrafter recommended, so this is what I did, and it's ridiculously big. So these are the new borders, and I kept the gold and everything. So here's the back, and so in the middle here we have a Stellarite crystal, which will be more explained in a lore video and how that is significant. And then around we have all of the element types. So that is kind of an explanation of the back here. And so we flip these around and we can get started into the starter deck. So we have Rocket Bomb, and it says this is the Stellarite cost down here at the bottom, so how much Stellarite it costs to play, and more of that is explained in the how to play video. And so this says remove 1 duration card from the battlefield, so it can be your side of the battlefield or your opponent's. Then we have Crucify, which is choose 1 creature from your hand, send it to your graveyard, and heal its HP from one of your creatures on the battlefield. So if you have someone that's really strong out on the battlefield and you have a weaker creature in your hand that you don't necessarily want to play, you can send the weak creature to your graveyard and then heal up your stronger one that's already on the battlefield. You have a Reciprocal Totem, and when activated, the attacking creature receives the same amount of damage that it dealt to your creature. And down here we have the card number. I also reduced the number of cards from 140 to 105, something a little bit more what's the word? I don't know, something a little better. The 140 was just excessive and a lot and very difficult to even collect them all. So yeah, we reduced it a little bit. So this is Reciprocal Totem. We have Recycle. Shuffle your discard pile. Then look at the top 4 cards of your discard pile. Choose 2 of them and add them to your hand. Shuffle the others back into your discard pile. So that just lets you reuse some of the cards you've already used. We have Flaming Battle Axe, which is a support card that does 10 damage. Quick Slash, which does 6 damage and does not activate traps. First creature we are seeing is a Garden Gnome, and he has 7 HP, and he has 2 different abilities that affect the card aspect, which is what this symbol right here means. And it says your opponent can't draw cards during their next turn, or you can use Harvest and you yourself just draw a card. We have Spidox. He has the ability Web Weave. Search your army or discard pile for Spidox's web and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck or discard pile. Spidox can't use this again. So that deck right there should also say army. So yeah, what I went through and I did is I changed the deck is just called your army now. So that you'll see that on the cards. And if you see army instead of deck, just know that that's basically what that means. I'll have to go in and change that because I didn't realize it was used twice. But yeah, that's Spidox. We have Bile Goblin. He is another poison type. I guess I should have been going over their types, but yeah, this is poison, and then this is nature. So Bile Goblin is a poison type, and he has Bile Bomb, which this attack does +2 damage for each card you discarded your last turn. And when I was playtesting these with my friend, I actually had 2 Bile Goblins on the field at the same time, and so I was discarding cards and it was affecting both of their abilities, and so I was doing like massive damage each turn, and it was actually pretty cool. So I really like this card, and he's good for if you're going to be using a lot of cards, mostly towards the beginning of the game. And so that's Bile Goblin. We have Flare Oak, which is he's a pretty interesting card. He is a nature type, but his special ability, which is designated in red here, means it's active throughout the whole game. And so Flare Oak is also a fire type creature, and all fire type attacks do -2 damage to Flare Oak. And so that all fire type attacks do -2 damage to Flare Oak is going to come into play with another card that he combos with in this starter deck. And then he has the attack Root Burn, which does 4 damage, and it says roll the die. If it's even, this attack does +2 damage. If it's odd, the defending creature can't attack during your opponent's next turn. And so he's going to end up being like a kind of a tank on the battlefield, especially paired with his other card. So this is Valterra, and he has Sword Strike, which does 7, and then Shield. And you choose either this creature or a friendly adjacent creature to Valterra. All of your opponent's attacks do -5 damage to that creature your opponent's next turn. I should say something else I'll have to go fix. I thought I proofed these, obviously not well enough. But yeah, he has a summon or you must pay 4 Stellarite to summon him, and so he can just basically attack and shield some of your weaker creatures during turns you don't necessarily want them dying. And coming up, it looks like we have a rare card, which is Ancient Terra Ninja, and he is a rare designated down here by the purple R, and he has 2 attacks. One is Geostorm, and this attack does 5 damage to each enemy proximity creature on the battlefield, and proximity is explained in the how to play video, and basically it's just the creatures that this creature can land an attack on. And then he has Meteor Shot, which does 8 damage to a single creature. And next we have Stellarite Mine, and this is a duration card, and it says gain an additional Stellarite at the beginning of your next 4 turns. So that's just allowing you to get more Stellarite into your hand over a few turns. We have Withdraw, just says draw 2 cards. Scroll of Prophecy. Look at the top 6 cards of your army and rearrange them in any order. Empowerment Totem. Choose one of your creatures on the battlefield during this and your next 2 turns. All of that creature's attacks do +4 damage during the turn it's chosen. Heal Spray. Heal 6 damage from one of your creatures on the battlefield. We have another Quick Slash. Our second rare card is Arrow Storm, and this attack does 5 damage to each creature on your opponent's side of the battlefield. So that's allowing you to just do some pretty big damage. We have another Spidox. Experiment 214, and Experiment, this creature can be combined with another creature by using the card Mutation. And Mutation isn't actually in either of the starter decks, but I did downgrade it to just a common card because it's I wanted it to have a lot more use, and be able to be used more often. So that's something that can be looked for like in the booster packs. And then he has Mud Cannon, which does 2, and the defending creature can't attack your opponent's next turn. So he's a tanky boy, I guess you could say. We have Toxorus. He has Toxic Spikes. Each time an enemy creature lands an attack on Toxorus, the enemy creature receives 2 damage. And then Poison Tail does 3. Goop. His health bar actually has a question mark, and so he has the special ability Sludge Body, which you choose a creature on the battlefield, and then when you place Goop onto the battlefield, Goop's base HP becomes the same as the HP of a creature that you chose. So say if you had Ancient Terror Ninja on the battlefield, its HP here is 26. So if you had him on the battlefield and then you added Goop, you could say, okay, I want to use Sludge Body and I want Goop's HP to be 26 as well. And so then Goop's base HP is now 26. So that's how Goop works. You kind of, for him to make the most out of him, there needs to be a strong creature already on the battlefield, but you can also do it with one of your opponent's creatures, which there's one card in the other starter deck that this card works really well off of. And we'll see that in the next starter deck opening video. And so that is Goop. And our third rare is Terratoxic. And he has the special ability Toxin Veil, which this creature cannot be prevented from attacking. And then Acid Rain, which does 6. And you roll the die. If it's even, this attack does plus 2 damage to each enemy proximity creature on the battlefield. We have another Stellarite Mine, another Withdraw. We have Spidox's Web, which says Toxic Web, it does 4. And then this trap does 4 damage. If it's guarding a poison type creature, the attacking creature can't attack your opponent's next turn. This attack does plus 4 damage if it's guarding a poison type creature, and then the attacking creature can't attack your opponent's next turn. I kind of read that backwards. So that is Spidox's Web. It is a trap card. We have a Recovery Totem, and it is a duration card. It says choose one of your creatures on the battlefield during this and your next 2 turns. Heal 4 damage from that creature during the turn it's chosen. So over the course of 3 turns, you get to choose one of your creatures and heal 4 damage from it that's on the battlefield. So it's a really good card. All the totems are really good. We have another Heal Spray, a second Flaming Battle Axe, and our last rare is Labyrinth. And it is also a duration card, but it is a trap card, and it says after it's activated, place this trap on top of the enemy creature that activated it, and your opponent must roll a 5 or 6 in order for that creature to attack, and discard Labyrinth after a 5 or 6 is rolled. So that's just kind of trapping. Once your opponent attacks whatever trap this is guarding, their creature can't really attack until they find their way out of this labyrinth, which is represented by rolling a 5 or a 6. So that is Labyrinth. We have a second Garden Gnome. And then this is the card that I was saying combos with Flare Oak, and this is Flare Seed. And he has 6 HP, and his special ability is Roots. And it says all enemy proximity creatures gain the fire typing when Flare Seed is defeated. And over here, it says that all fire type attacks do -2 damage to Flare Oak. So if your opponent's creatures gain the fire typing, then all of their attacks are also a fire type attack. So that is where Flare Oak's special ability, he's going to be having a little bit of an immunity to some of their attacks. So that's where he comes in. Plus, the other starter deck is a dark and fire type deck. So I kind of put something in both decks that kind of works well against the other one. So this is the main combo for that. So that is Flare Seed. We have that second Bile Goblin I was talking about. We have Terror Ninja, which he has got some changes, and he has 14 health. And so now instead of a special ability, he just has a regular ability. And it says, Ancient Wrath, send Terror Ninja to your graveyard and pay 2 Stellarite to add Ancient Terror Ninja to the battlefield from your hand. So this is allowing you to sacrifice this card and pay less Stellarite to add Ancient Terra Ninja to the battlefield, which is beefed up version of this guy. And then Leaf Cuts, you choose 2 proximity creep targets, and then this attack does 2 damage to both of them. And last in this starter deck we have Impertoad, and he has 22 health, and he has a pretty good special ability which is called Sticky Skin. And it says all duration cards you play while this creature is on the battlefield stay on the battlefield 1 extra duration turn. So like, let me find a good example. And it's pretty self-explanatory, but just in case, let me find a duration card. Okay, so like Stellarite Mine stays on the battlefield for 4 turns. So if Impertoad is on the battlefield when you add a Stellarite Mine into an action slot, then Stellarite Mine instead is going to stay on the battlefield for 5 turns. And so that's where his special ability comes into play. And I mean, there's no limit to how much you can use this. If you keep Impertoad alive for all these amounts of turns, you know, you can play as many duration cards as you can. So he's a really good card, and that is going to bring us to the end of the starter deck opening. And I'm really happy with how these turned out, and I like these cards so much better than the other ones, and the game is just played so much better. And I'm really thankful that I did take the break to really just kind of relax and sit down and redo everything, just kind of take my time with it. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through, those of you that did, through the whole, what's it called? Just through the whole process basically of revamping this game. And I hope it's worth it to you guys, and maybe you guys will even want one of these starter decks for yourself. And so, as always, just thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. You do you. And I will see you guys in the next video.